This is Timothy Gordon announcing a new section of Aristotle's Ethics Live beginning January the 19th, taught by me in person on Zoom. It's going to be Tuesday nights at 7 for the whole family. All ages are welcome. Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics is life-changing. Learn it with me on Tuesday nights. For more information, go to the Enroll tab on timothyjgordon.com. What's up, parish orphans and retrogrades? Timothy Gordon here with a special update. What in the dickens happened last night in our nation's capital? Chaos broke out. I have with me a special return guest, Mr. Sean Farish, who is the founder of Loud Majority from Long Island, New York, the Strong Island. What's up, Sean? How the heck are you, partner?
What's up, Tim? Driving back from DC, long weekend. A lot to talk about from last night, so excited to share it with you.
Yeah, man. What in the heck happened? I was at DC a month ago or 3 weeks ago. I wanted to be at this one, but I got finals in a doctoral program, so I'm at home last night at 1, 12, 11 p.m. even. Not that late, 10 p.m. And it looked like all hell was breaking loose in our nation's capital.
Yeah, so what happened was last night, yesterday we had, our rallies and our marches and everything like that in throughout the Capitol, and those are pretty good. Limited skirmishes with any sort of, you don't call them counter protesters. They're not protesters. They're rioters. They're,
Terrorists.
Instigators, terrorists, agitators, whatever you want to call them. That's what they are. But the Proud Boys were out, and they had their rally and they had their march during the day, and at night, things get bad there. Things do get bad there. It's not a safe place at night. It stinks to have to say you live in a country where the capital of the country is not a safe place to go at night. It's unfortunate. It's tragic in a sense, but that's what we were told. And last night, that's exactly what happened. I mean, there were attacks and stabbings and assaults and fights and just all sorts of clashes that happened in the city on the street. A building was lit on fire. People were stabbed. People were arrested. It was not a good scene out there.
Yeah, man. A couple points of clarification. I was out there, 3 or 4 weeks ago with my family. I got 6 kids and a wife. And when you say nighttime in DC, people are thinking, midnight, 1, 2 a.m. That's not what we're talking about. I was supposed to have dinner with Church Militant and Michael Voris. And you know what? It was getting early. It gets early, really. It gets dark really early there, the way the buildings are situated in that. So it was like 5, and I was like, you know what? We got a 2-mile hike back to our RV, then get back to our hotel. And I know these scumbags, pieces of garbage, are going to be coming out to pick off stragglers that have family. I'll fight a couple of them off, but I can't fight off 10 when I got 6 kids. So this stuff started happening, early, right? I mean, 9, 10, 8 p.m., right?
Well, some of the things that we had heard as we were preparing for it was that by 4:30, 5 o'clock, you want to be off the street because it's basically dark. And that's when it gets nasty. It gets hairy out there. So really 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, that's like very late for Washington, D.C.
Right.
They're telling you get off the streets when it's dark. So sunset is 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever it is these days. I mean, it's early. It's early. So once the sun goes down, you're basically told to get inside. It's a shame, but a lot of the activity started to escalate last night around 9 p.m. Again, stabbings, assaults, just it was a very, very bad scene. It was happening in multiple areas of the city. A couple hotels were hit.
Tell me about crazy. The hotels. This is kind of interesting to people that weren't out there last night because it sounds like gangs in New York. We were talking on the phone before we jumped on Skype, and it's like the Proud Boys were at one hotel. You and your Loud Majority boys were at another hotel. Did you tell me Antifa and or BLM had a list circulating where certain people were at certain hotels?
So Antifa put out a list. It was circulating around social media. all of our name. My name was on it. A couple of people I know, their names were on it. It did not mention what hotels we were at, but they saw people posting on social media what hotels people were staying at, and they knew that our hotel and the Proud Boys were staying over at Hotel Harrington. We were over in the Grand Hyatt, and they knew those two hotels. So the Proud Boys were out in the street, out at the Harrington, and that's where a lot of the action was, the activity was last night. But they also came to the Grand Hyatt because they knew there was a bunch of Trump supporters there, whether it was the Loud Crew or it was just a bunch of them knowing that Trump supporters were staying there. They tried actually breaking into the Grand Hyatt through the parking garage.
Kidding me.
So, and that was stopped. That was stopped. Yeah, they tried breaking into my hotel too. So, I wasn't there. I was out. I was getting phone calls left and right, trying to get who's where and everyone together. But yeah, they tried breaking in. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's like
crazy.
gangs
These
in New
people
York.
are animals. I mean, it's like they have. It's exactly like gangs in New York.
It's nuts. Okay, I want to talk about the cops because when I was out there, bro, the cops were doing nothing to help the good guys, all the peaceful Trump supporters who were out there. They were by the Supreme Court building. They were standing guard. They were defending about 40, 35, maybe 45 Antifas. And they were guarding the people that think that they should be disbanded. And when friendly Trump people, ladies wearing MAGA hats would say, "Oh, we love you, boys in blue." I talked about this on my show. The cops would look them off. They're more on the side of Antifa than us. They're corrupt. I say the cucks, man. What do you say? What did you see the cops doing?
So, I didn't see them necessarily protecting Antifa or anything like that this time around, which is good. But I will say that this particular band of police officers that we dealt with, down at the Capitol, were probably the least helpful of any of the officers or any of the police forces or departments that we've worked with over the last couple months. I mean, over here on Long Island, Suffolk County Police, Nassau County Police, State Police in New York, NYPD. They've all been very, very helpful in terms of just keeping people safe. They're not picking sides. They're just keeping people safe. I don't know necessarily if the DC police did enough to keep people safe yesterday. Would they have prevented the whole thing? I don't think so. It just, things get out of control. But I don't think they were proactive enough. And just based off of other police officers and forces and departments that we've worked with, these guys seem to have not been as in the game as the other ones.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, sure. Cops doing their jobs, we love them, but there seem to be fewer and fewer cops doing their job. Now that doesn't mean there ain't some. I mean, you don't want to bag on NYPD. I get that, but when I was out there, Capitol Police were turning back Trump ralliers into like a sea or an avenue of a bunch of Antifa, and they ended up getting beaten up. I include that video in one of my videos. That the police are a problem because they're under the thumb in these liberal cities of liberal chieftains, and that's a real problem. And that's what really reminds me of gangs in New York. They're letting Proud Boys and Antifa BLM fight it out, which, in a certain sense, it's kind of gratifying when you see some of these videos. But what I'm saying, and I gotta, in my youth, I was no foreigner, no stranger to street fights, and I'm not proud of it because I run a Catholic podcast. But guess what? This seems to be the future, unfortunately, doesn't it? At these things, it's only getting worse.
It is getting worse, and a lot of people after last night were a little shaken up. They were like, well, what's going to happen next? Well, I don't know, but I could say that the trajectory, it just looks bad. I mean, I'll say this, and it's interesting. The song, it's an old Confederate War song called Bonnie Blue Flag, and it lists every state that secedes from the Union in order, and it's a really interesting song if you're just into the history. And when the lawsuit was being filed with Texas and all these other states were jumping on, and one after another, I was like, this just feels like there's this huge separation that's taking place. That, the left tried to do it in 2016, not my president, and now you had 18, 20, 22, whatever states sign on with Texas, and there's just division. You can see it everywhere, and I hate it. It's a cliche word. It's so divisive. Everybody's, but there is a divide. There is a divide in the country, and it's a clear divide. There are people who support doing the right thing, liberty, justice for all, patriotism, capitalism, the Constitution. There are those people, and we keep it peaceful the entire time. And then there are these savages that are just destroying cities, people, assaulting people, breaking into hotels to do what? What are you going to do? Or you're going to go in there, you're going to smash up the gift shop. What does that do for you? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't do anything. So there's this divide.
Yeah, man.
And I think it's coming to a head. And when it does, it's going to be like really ugly, like worse than last night. Last night was bad, but it's going to get really bad in this country unless, I don't know, we need somehow to just like tame them, because they're not stopping, and they're just doubling down every time, and it's getting worse and worse.
Well, look, I was responding on Twitter to, I'd have loved to have been out there. I get itchy when there's skirmishes like this to go support the good guys, and they were the clear good guys, right? The Antifa. Absolutely. I wanted to make a statement, but the Prouds, they weren't littering, they weren't setting buildings on fire, they weren't stabbing people, right? They're there to protect the protesters and to themselves.
That's what they did.
Yeah, that's what they do. They're
protecting themselves and protecting the protesters, right?
So let's make this real clear. The divide that has sprung up in this nation, which I call, a republic in name only, it's got clear lines, and it's constitutionalists and Christians versus anti-constitutionalists and anti-Christians. An amicus curiae on both sides, friends of the court on both sides. But look, man, Rod Dreher from American Conservative and his ilk were on Twitter yesterday for like 6 hours, bagging on you guys, all the people that went out there, by dint of implication, anybody that went out there, last month as well, which would include me. For 6 hours, he was watching this, just bagging on all of them, calling himself a conservative, acting like he's the guardian or the champion of unity. And I challenged him. I said, hey, let's go on Eric Metaxas' show, because he was calling out Eric Metaxas. I'll debate you on the scope of Republican unity. Can there be unity between people like us, you, me, Eric Metaxas, Christians of all sorts, friends of Christians of all sorts, and people like them? That's what res publica means. That's what our framers were obsessed with, was the concept of, and Aristotle, Plato, the Stoics, Augustine, Aquinas, Bellarmine, Suarez, the Salamancans, all of the, even the Frenchmen who were good, Montesquieu, they all insisted that if you have this third form of government, the good representative form of government, republic, the wicked form is democracy, that's evil. You have to have a res publica. You have to have one common thing you all believe in, and we can't do it, so it's fake unity. And of course, Rod Dreher ain't going to debate me. But did you know he was on the stick? He was tweeting, making fun of you guys out there for like hours yesterday.
I didn't know that. You know what? It's a shame, because you got people like that who they play this game, but they're conservative. They I love the Constitution, this, that, and the other thing, and then the next thing they want to do is start breaking bread with communists. And it's like, I don't understand how both things can't happen. You either, like you said, that one common goal used to just be that we were Americans, that we loved America, right? Like after 9/11, everyone put their flags out. After, there was that common, let's come together around the country. That's gone, because when you're dealing with the left, and where the left is gone, they actually hate America. They do. They burn the American flag. Yeah. So that one common goal of that one common idea that we could all unite around doesn't exist. It's because they won't let it exist. I mean, America still exists. The idea of America still exists. The country obviously still exists, but the concept of everybody uniting around that one common thing, which is the USA. That doesn't exist anymore because half the country, these Antifa people, they hate it. They hate America, so they're not going to come to the table with that.
Right.
But we have people like us, conservatives. Oh, well, let's, this guy, unity. I'm sorry, I can't come to the table with somebody like that.
No.
I can't.
No. No way. I mean, literally, Dreyer said, I have my little Orthodox church. He left the Catholic Church. He's Orthodox now. He said, I have my little Orthodox church. We have Biden voters. We have Trump voters. I fear for that American unity when I see, he was talking about the speakers at the rally yesterday, and I think the Proud Boys by implication. What are you talking about? These are the good guys. The good can never mix with the good, with the bad, with the evil.
Right.
Go read your Bible, man. Go read the writings of Leo the 13th or Pius the 10th. Give me a break. Not that he would anymore, but the point is that it's precisely in what you said. People are going to have to pick a side. A side in what contest? I don't know exactly, but it is steepening. The pace is quickening. We're headed towards the denouement. We're coming to something, and it all feels that way. And it's not just intuitive; it's also intellectual. Everyone knows it's plain now, and everyone's going to have to pick a side. There is no more unity. That's like saying, I want unity between these two basketball teams that are playing in the NBA Finals. No, you got to pick a team, or if you care about basketball.
Right.
You know?
No, that's a good analogy. It's funny, I want both teams to win. I want there to be a tie.
Right.
That can't happen. There's a winner, there's a loser.
Right.
And in this case, there's right and there's wrong. And if you're a patriot, that's the word that's been thrown around a lot lately. Is patriot. That's what everyone refers to as now. We're because it used to be, well, we're just Trump supporters. Now it's, well, we're patriots. Which is cool. That's fine. I'm cool with it. I like it. But if you deeply believe in the Constitution, the unalienable rights of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, you believe that those are God-given rights, that they're endowed upon you by God. If that's what you truly, truly believe and truly, truly think, and like you said, you have to pick a side, and you can't break bread with someone who thinks that way of thinking is completely backwards.
Yeah.
Dan Bongino says it all the time. He says, we think liberals are people with bad ideas, right? A lot of these guys are, the Green New Deal, defund the police. They're people with bad ideas. They think that we are bad people with ideas. So that by nature, all of our ideas are bad.
Right.
But capitalism isn't a bad idea. The Constitution, the Republic, like you said, democracy is wicked. It absolutely is. The Democratic mandate is one of the most evil things in the world. In terms of politics, it's terrible.
You bet.
But there's the good and the bad, and right now we're dealing with people having to pick. Do you want to be on the side of the good guys or the side of the bad guys? And like you said, in what context is it? Are sides going to have to be chosen? I don't know. Is it going to be strictly political? Is it going to be legal? Is it going to be, I have no idea. Is it going to be something more serious than that? It could be. But everyone's going to have to pick one.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like what I've been telling friends is like, look, when we say the S word, secession, let's get a bit of a historical context. We had basically 3 secession movements in this country, 1776, and it is peaceable, even though you might end up putting yourself in a position to fight a defensive war against Great Britain, which we did. 1776 was a successful secession movement. 1787, 88, when we went from being 13 separate countries, we were taken off the Articles of Confederation forcibly in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787. And not all the states originally wanted to go for that, to join into one union. We were just a League of Nations under the Articles.
Right.
They got together to amend the Articles. They shut all the windows. It was what some call a runaway convention in Philly in 1787. They illegally changed it to a constitution. That's why the Anti-Federalists had a little bit of compunction, or quite a bit of compunction about it for a year and a half. That's why we got the Bill of Rights 3-4 years later. So that was a secession movement. And not all of those states initially were part of the new union that was formed by this stronger central government, which in some ways seems to have been a mistake. But so that was a successful secession movement insofar as they got a new regime and not all the states originally went along. And then you had 1861 to 1865, and of course that secession movement failed. So some people out there, on Twitter have been telling me, hey, secession movements always fail. Look at 1865. Sure, well, that was one that failed, but we're 2 out of 3 in this country for successful, basically peaceable secession movements. Don't call 1776 a revolutionary war, because we're not like the French. We weren't cutting off the heads of nobles and crushing pregnant women under wine presses. We just were saying, hey, look, we're out. We're outie, man. And we're not, this isn't like the Chaz or whatever. We have the economies and the means to do it. Look at what Alan West said on Friday night after the stupid Supreme Court decision not to grant cert, joined only by the 2 original. He said, we got a League of Nations of about 20, maybe more, 20 states that observe the Constitution. And maybe we ought to just stick together. I like Alan West. I've always liked him. That's a secession movement. It's peaceable. And you know what? Maybe it's just time to be outie. I don't know. But yes, we can expect to have to defend ourselves. And that's why I'm calling everyone out there, every man, maybe consider joining the Proud Boys. This movement needs to grow.
I think the idea of kind of sticking, like you said, all the states that maybe signed on to that suit, kind of we were alluding to before, sticking together, following the Constitution as it's written, as it was intended, at its original intent. It's going to be interesting, though, because if states do just decide to do that, I mean, it is going to eventually culminate into what I would expect to be some sort of armed conflict. I don't see how it could avoid that. I mean, do you honestly think a left-leaning government is going to let 20 or so right-leaning states kind of do their own thing? I don't see that happening in a peaceful way. But that, I think, is where it may head. Hey, we're just going to follow the Constitution and do it our own way. When everyone said, look at all these states that are jumping on, I said that's a list of states to move to, because the other ones are the ones that are just trying to destroy the country, take it right away, steal the election, shred the Constitution.
That's
I would
why
love to see more people join the Patriot type of movement and just be like, no, I want to live in a free country. All it is you want to live in a free country. That's it.
Right.
It's not about a candidate at this point. It's not about Donald Trump anymore. It's not. It's not. It's about, it's not about Georgia runoffs on January 5th. It's not about that either.
Right.
It's about your actual life. Do you want to go into this?
Right.
Do you know what this is? A lot of people don't know.
They don't know.
I talked to a guy from Cuba. He was born in Cuba. He goes, there are people. He goes, I came from this. I've seen this all before. He's like, it's breaking my heart. The guy says, I came here to avoid it, and now here it is. Yeah. I was like, it's terrible to hear these things.
Yeah. Amen, brother. I mean, you said it, and the Cuba guy said, the Cuban man, he understands a lot of these conservatives. I call them Vichy conservatives because they're like the Vichy government in France that were trying to usher in the regime change, forcible regime change of the Germans coming in. That's what a lot of these conservatives who got no heart, no teeth, no fight in them are saying. And look, we don't want to fight. Like I keep repeating it throughout this thing. We don't want to fight. We fight defensively, like Mr. Miyagi taught Danielson, right? You fight defensively, but a secession movement's inherently peaceable. That I think we've gone as far as we can go with these people. And so people need to defend themselves, train themselves in the defensive arts. Be ready to defend yourself. You got to be prepared, and joining with, or at the very least supporting the Proud Boys is one thing they can do. We hope everything goes peaceably, but like you keep saying, Sean, you can't break bread with a bunch of communists that hate you and want to kill you. You can't break bread with ISIS. You can't break bread with the Soviet communists in the 1960s, and you can't break bread with the people that like ISIS or the Soviet communists who live here with us, that come out, find out what hotel you're staying in, and stab you for going to support your guy. And like you said, it's not about Trump. I support Trump knowing he's very imperfect. I mean, look at his 3 Supreme Court justices. I was screaming about those 3 picks when he made them. And then he gets knifed in the back by them, proverbially. And he should have picked Cruz, then Cruz, then Cruz. And he missed the opportunity. He chose to play identitarian politics with Amy Coney Barrett, and look what they end up doing to him. So I know Trump ain't perfect. It's not, he's far from it. But he is one of the guys he's the only guy that's really rallied the patriots. That's why we support him. Catholics get on my case. Why do you support him? He's not. I didn't say he's the perfect moral exemplar. I said he's the guy that Providence has allowed, maybe not deigned, but allowed to gather the patriots in the country, like you keep saying. That's enough. That's enough. I don't have to agree with every one of these, every Proud Boy. I don't have to go through and say, what's your favorite color? Mine's green. I'm only going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you if mine's green. That's what a bunch of these Vichy Con, gutless, toothless cowards think you have to do to stand shoulder to shoulder with a man. They don't know squat.
Yeah, it's true. They, and they're afraid. A lot of them are afraid to just take a stand. Period. You know, you could have the same favorite color as these people. Hey, what's your favorite color? Green. Oh, sweet. My favorite color is green too. Okay, will you stand with me? No. I really don't think.
Right.
They don't want to take a stand. That's the thing. Right. They're afraid to take a stand. Listen, that's okay. By the way, like if you're not willing to get out and do it, that's fine. But then don't speak. Okay? Like, I'm a free speech absolutist. Fine. You can say whatever you want, but you're hurting the message. Because if you are going to say, no, I don't want to take a stand. Oh, and by the way, let's come together with these people. You're surrendering. That's what that is.
Right.
Okay, no, I'm not going to stand against you, and I'm going to come to the table with you. You know now that I'm not standing against you with all of these people who are standing against you. So you've succumbed. You've given up. There is no giving up. Look, you want to tell me about an election? Who's going to be sworn in on January 20th? Look, I get all that. It's not about Donald Trump. We said that already. It's not about Donald Trump, right? It's about preserving the republic, the last free, and if you could even call it free at this point, because it's just disgraceful, some of the things that are happening. FBI, the DOJ. I mean, a side story, but the postal worker, the guy who drove the truck of ballots from Bethpage, New York to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the FBI is interrogating him, trying to find out, like, they're putting him under pressure instead of finding out what happened with these ballots. They're trying to catch him in some sort of lie. Like, why are we tormenting Jesse Morgan? He came forward with this story, which, if it could be debunked, probably would have been debunked already, because there's cameras and whatnot at the oh no, he wasn't actually waiting for 6 hours to lie. So why is the FBI trying to shut him down rather than get to the bottom of these cases, right? So the last free republic is falling. We're watching it fall. And then you have people like you're talking about, these wishy-washy, no backbone, jellyfish conservatives who come out, well, I think we just need to turn down the temperature. Well, I will turn down the temperature when the left begins to tell me it's too hot. Until they think it's too hot, we're going to turn up the temperature. But it's either we keep showing up or we just keep losing ground, which we've been doing for the last 20, 30 years. And we can't anymore.
Right. Longer than that. Yeah. Look, brother, man, thanks for going out there. I wish I could have been out there. You need to get yourself home safely. I think this camera, I have a non-skirmish related cut here on my arm. Looked like I was out there, which I was not. But let me close with this notion, and I'll give you the last word. Jefferson wrote in 1803 that the future of American happiness does not depend on one union or 4 or 13. It depends on some, that's a direct quote. Now I'm paraphrasing it. It depends on some iteration of American God-given life, liberty, and property, God-given rights, Christian rights, from the 2,000-year-old Christian tradition of life, liberty, property, being preserved by some of the Americans. That was his point. It doesn't need to be this magic number of 50. It wasn't even 50 when Jefferson wrote this in 1803. It just needs to be some American patriots who still have this idea, this res publica of Christian life, liberty, and property, that carry it forward like a banner and are willing to preserve it and wanting to live under it. That's American. That's what it is to be an American patriot. And if it's only 20 of the states, so be it. If it's only 25, better. If it's 20, 30, whatever. If it's 15, okay. But the point is, we have to stand shoulder to shoulder with people with whom we share a res publica. There is no unity with anti-Christians. There is no unity with people that want to take our religious liberty. There is no unity with people that want to take our civil liberties, otherwise, our property, our God-given rights. There's no unity with them. And people need to get that through their heads, that you are picking one side or another de facto. I think the Rod Dreyers of the world think that they can be everybody's friend. He writes about a great deal about bullies and the fact that he was bullied. He's got like the Stockholm syndrome from all those years of bullying.
Yes.
You can't make bullies like you. It's not an act of war to tell a bully, no, I ain't going to give you my lunch money. No. Well, won't that lead to a conflict? Yeah. Then you pop him in the mouth, and then the bully goes home with, a swollen lip and no lunch money. I'll give you the final word, Sean.
Absolutely. And it's exactly right. You can't be everyone's friend. And if it is only 20 states, if it's states like South Dakota, where Kristi Noem is doing a great job, or Florida, or Texas, or Tennessee, or Kentucky. Kentucky didn't even sign on to the lawsuit, but they're a very conservative state. They have a Democratic governor, but that's for another day. But if it is these states that are signing on, or that have at least made it clear, or a gesture that we're going to follow the Constitution, we're going to go back to those God-given rights of life, liberty, and property, which would lead to the true American happiness that Thomas Jefferson was talking about. If it's only 2 states, 3 states, 4 states, eventually more will go, more will jump on. But 20 states, that's fine. I know where I have to go then. I'm not gonna sit here and continue to work in New York and let Andrew Cuomo take my tax dollars. Like,
right.
He doesn't support what I support. Same
Right.
reason why I won't shop at a certain websites. I won't go on Amazon because I don't support Jeff Bezos. It's the same thing. So you support the states that support what you believe in. And if that's Texas and South Dakota, and you happen to live in Massachusetts, well, you're gonna have to make a change. Either that, or you're gonna have to deal with it, or you're gonna have to take your state back. Organize your own patriots. Take your state back. Get your state, get your stuff together over there. 2 options. We don't want to fight. We don't want to get physical, but there is going to be a conflict. There's a divide. There's going to be a conflict. We'll see how bad it gets. Last night in D.C. was just, I think, the beginning. It was really, it was eye-opening. It really was.
God bless you, man. That was a good last word. I'll let that take it out. Everybody out there, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell. Well, I think we're frozen. We've been on 26.9 thousand subscribers for about a month. We were flying up 2,000 a month before that. Sean, get home safe, brother. God bless you. And maybe I'll see you in the South someday. I just moved here from California. I think you need to move here from New York, bro.
Yeah, I have to get down there, believe me.
All right. God bless you, bro. Drive safe.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is.
If you like this video and my other work, please consider supporting me on Patreon page or at timothyjgordon.com.